With their primary demo being kids, it stands to reason that Nick's lineup of cartoons would star kind-hearted heroes. While this sentiment is true, these heroes are still flawed. Some may have selfish desires, and others anger issues. That said, at the end of the day, they're still good folks, be it by saving the world or by just being nice to everyone around them.
Would you not do that? It's not like we have a lot of options.
But of course, not all heroes are as tender and heroic as others. Which of these main stars are the most problematic, and which ones have the strongest moral compass? I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and today we're taking the heroes from your favorite Nicktoons and ranking them from least heroic to the most outstanding.
Makeover time!
Now, we're ranking these heroes the same way we did the DreamWorks heroes, from self-serving, then to society-saving, then finally world-saving. Shout out to our writer Bradley for coming up with the distinction. We're also allowing one spot per TV show. If a show has a spin-off show, that show is fine, but the characters' deeds will be locked to that show when talking about them. First up is our self-serving heroes. Heroes that do good, but either to further their own selfish goals, or if there's no other choice. They could also just be nice guys you see on the street, but don't really do much in terms of heroics. First up, with our least heroic person here, we have the sidekick with his own TV show, Sheen Estevez. He wasn't always the sharpest bulb in the box in Jimmy Neutron, but here, it's cranked up to 10. The series starts with Sheen being completely ignorant and unaware of Jimmy's warnings, and taking his rocket out into outer space. Despite the clear and multiple warnings posted. Once he landed on Xenu, he really didn't seem to be all that interested in getting back home. Sure, his rocket was slowly getting repaired off-screen, but Sheen seemed more interested in just exploring the planet than his own safety. Sheen does end up creating his own string of problems, mainly when trying to twist Earth customs to benefit him. Some examples of these acts include him trying to make a suit of money or creating Thanksgiving so he can get more presents. It's also clear that Sheen really isn't that interested in returning home and reuniting with his friends and families and easing their worries. Despite this, he's still just a kid, and he isn't a genius like Jimmy, so he obviously won't be able to get back home right away. And plus, he's still willing to try and help out others and be friendly with the residents. Some examples include helping Asifa, the Glamorian princess, with finding her pet Choctaw, throwing a house party inviting everyone, and trying to find a banana for a smart helper monkey, Nesmith.
I will save my pet monkey if it's the last thing I do.
While he does cause trouble unwillingly, he's still just a kid with little intelligence backing him up, allowing him to be just good enough, but no one that outstanding. I hope Patrick doesn't fall for the same pitfall with the new SpongeBob spinoff. Up next in second place, we have Team Rocket. And we're talking about rocket power, we're not talking about Pokemon. With the show that is oozing so much of that 90s radical style, it makes sense that the show's protagonists exhibit this behavior too. The gang, made up of the leader, Otto Rocket, his sister Reggie Rocket, and their friends Twister and Squid. The series more or less just focuses on the four of them living through their day-to-day life and the shenanigans they get into.
Why is the water next to these squids so warm?
Along with Sheen, they really don't have any plans on being overly heroic, but really, they aren't that bad of kids. They have a sense of loyalty towards each other and are quick to defend each other. That said, they are still kids, and as such, are still prone to disobeying orders from parents. The biggest example of this comes from Otto himself, always preferring to partake in sports that cross into dangerous territory over following parental orders.
Whoa, that was wicked.
He's also very proud and cocky, which can cause tension and grind the gears of his friends. He's practically the reason this team is so low here. However, he still has his good moments, mainly with his sister and friends, being the one most determined to set things straight if they get wronged in some way.
Look, I'm sorry for the girl crack before.
In the end, they really are just what they look like on the surface. A bunch of kids that are drenched in 90s-styled rebellion. In third place for our least heroic characters, we have Tommy Pickles. Now, he isn't this low because he's selfish, a brat, or anything else. Rather, it's mostly due to the fact that he's a baby. He really can't do much that other heroes here can do, so he would be at a bit of a handicap already.
You guys needed help, and I stopped being scared.
That being said, he still is a great person in the context of his world. As the leader of his gang of friends, he's always the one willing to lead his friends throughout their adventures, be it guiding his friends through places they see as dangerous, trying to clear the name of his pet dog Spike, or even helping the babies find their way back home through a forest they got lost in. Tommy is a natural adventurer, and he's more than happy with adventuring with his friends, even if it means sometimes tricking Chucky, his most easily scared friend, into going along with him.
This is nothing like my party.
It should be noted that as the series went on, he did become more smart and wise. He even attempts to help his younger brother, Dill, learn about the world, even if he's still a bit ill-informed himself. Despite being a baby, I think he has lots of heroics in his future. Just out of the bottom three, we have Douglas Yancey Funny, as he's more well known as Doug. He's just your average new kid that came into town after moving there and is just looking to make new friends.
What if they don't like me? What if I don't fit in?
Doug really isn't anything that special. He's just a regular kid with a good moral compass. Usually, he's just going about his day stressing over whatever big problems he has, only to realize that they aren't that big or serious as he thinks. He does his best to be friendly with others, even watching over the cat belonging to his bully, Roger. He was also determined to help keep a monster from a lake safe, even if it meant making himself look bad thanks to being blackmailed by the mayor to keep his mouth shut. Like any normal kid, he still has his moments of selfish desires, like with him being a bad boss towards his friends and dog in order to get a new skateboard, or accusing his friends of stealing his bike.
Don't lie! Beat it before I call the cops!
Despite this, he's still just a normal kid, so we can say that Doug is comfortably good. From a human to an animal, we have not just a cat, nor just a dog, but a cat dog. They are a conjoined cat and dog, who both have very different personalities. Cat is the older one by a few minutes, and is the smarter and more mature brother. Dog is the younger one, and is much more carefree and less intelligent than Cat.
You're eating so fast, you're giving me the hiccups.
Despite the fact that they're connected at the hip, Dog usually doesn't realize that some of the stuff he may do can hurt Cat, and as such, his impulses can sometimes lead to Cat getting injured in some way. Not that Cat is innocent himself, being greedy and using Dog for his own end goals. That said, the two of them do care for each other. Cat is more than willing to help cheer his brother up, as seen when Dog is about to give up on his quest to find their parents, and stepping in to save Dog from being beaten up by a descendant of Winslow. Even when Dog and Cat try to go on their own paths, or as much as their own path as they can, being stuck to the hip, they still do miss each other and worry for the other's safety.
We're cat dog. We belong together.
They may get on each other's nerves at times, but really, which pair of siblings don't? They may scratch and bite at each other, but they still love each other. Next up, we go from a hybrid animal to a normal animal and meet Rocko Rama. Now, out of all the everyday everyman we've seen, Rocko is probably the nicest of the bunch. He's a wallaby who's just trying to live a normal life in a world filled with crazy people. Despite this, he's still more than happy to be friendly with these weird folks.
Coyote, huh? You can't fool me.
His days go by with him helping his friends out. Examples of this include helping his best friend, Heifer, aiding him in getting over the fact that he was adopted, or trying to save him from choking on a bone. He's also loyal to his dog, deciding to skip a wrestling match just to watch over him after he got sick, and generally just loving the dog despite how he can cause his own problems.
Don't worry, Spunky. I'll stay here and take care of you.
Heck, he doesn't even show that much hatred for his enemy, Ed Bighead, being polite with him after Ed lost a bowling game to him, and even letting his family stay with him in his cabin in the winter. While he is normally nice, he does have a temper, which is shown if his patience is tested. Two examples of this event include when he's about to do something, as he says, not very nice, after getting dragged through a lot of torment to get a 99% off sale, only missing it by a second, and another when the reboot of his favorite show, The Fatheads, wasn't what he wanted. That being said, he is normally a very relaxed and nice companion. He does have his limits, but they're so high up, you don't need to worry. At the end of our self-serving list of heroes, we have not one, but two candidates here, Fanboy and Chum. In terms of similarities to someone like Sheen, it seems like they are rather similar. They both are hyperactive kids who seem to have a kindness to them, even if they sometimes cause trouble.
Ready to give up now?
Never!
With Fanboy and Chum, this comes from the two of them annoying others with their antics, with it being so bad that Fanboy was turned into a puppet as punishment. Even when Chum tries to be the rational one, like with trying to tell Fanboy that he isn't shrinking or that a mosquito bite wasn't a vampire bite, their childish minds lead to them taking extreme measures.
Looks like a mosquito bite.
They're both good deep down, care about each other, with Fanboy even offering to live in Yo's toy cage if it means staying with Chum. Even if Kyle doesn't like them, they seem to genuinely like and respect him and try to cheer him up whenever he isn't having a good day. So that's all good and all, but just what puts these two further up than Sheen? Well, it's simple really. In the series finale, Brain Freeze, we find out something very important about them. Those superhero costumes that we see on them are not just for show. They are, in fact, their secret identities, and they are real superheroes, as their underwear grants them powers like flight, being strong, etc.
Our underwear isn't just tidy and whitey.
As superheroes, you ought to have a good disguise at the ready, and what better disguise is there than fooling someone by just being dumb? Is it really possible that Fanboy and Chum are just acting that dumb to keep suspicious eyes off them? Well, it's never really explained, but it is something to think about. We don't get to see their true feats as superheroes, save for them stopping an evil slushy machine. But for now, as kids, they definitely rise up over other kids here.
With great underwear comes great underwear ability.
Next up is the Society Saviors, the heroes that save their immediate neighborhood or societies. They may not be worldwide heroes, but they still shouldn't be undersold. First on this tier is the party-loving cow, Otis. Now, Otis is a bit unique because he already has his own movie, Barnyard, before you even get to the show, Back at the Barnyard. In the movie, he's a party animal who ends up at a party when he should have been helping his father Ben look for coyotes feasting on the farm's chickens.
You know me, lady killer.
As Ben is killed in the attack, Otis ends up blaming himself for it and decides to get serious. He does have some trouble sticking to a pattern, but he is able to successfully stop the coyotes' attack on the farm by going to their lair and facing off against them. After Ben's death, he becomes the leader of the animals in the barnyard, a trait that extends to the show proper. Here, Otis is still the party-loving animal, with a love for money. When something threatens the farm, he isn't afraid to get serious. He's able to formulate plans to make sure the secret identity of the animals being able to walk and talk are never discovered. He even has his own secret identity as Cowman, with his best friend Pip the Mouse as Rat Boy. He may cause his own problems, but he's just as capable of cleaning up those problems as well.
Something tells me you may want to take a couple steps back.
Next, we have the villain of Zim, which technically makes him the hero, Dib Membrane. Now, in a world as bleak as Invader Zim, it's important to not make it look like the setting has no chance of survival. That's where Dib comes in. He's the only one who's determined to get Zim to leave him and his planet alone, alongside being one of the few that even knows of the threat that Zim poses to humanity, even if Zim is incompetent for the most part.
Am I the only one here who sees the alien sitting in class?
Of course, being the only one who believes that Zim is an alien puts him in opposition with his classmates, who believe that Dib is just being a weirdo. They definitely aren't afraid to pick on him in whatever way they can.
All you talk about is aliens and ghosts and seeing Bigfoot in your garage.
Even people that are aware of Zim's true nature aren't above taking potshots at him. That said, despite this, he's still willing to put their hatred for him aside and do his best to stop Zim's plans. He even helped play a major role in stopping Zim from destroying the Earth and into the Florpus. What puts him this low? Well, it's because of just how much he loves foiling and abusing Zim whenever he gets the chance to.
Now, for my finishing move.
From making his face burn with water to fantasizing about dissecting him, it's clear that he has more than enough anger for Zim. That said, with how much of a threat Zim is and how much grief he gets from his classmates, it'll be pretty hard for anyone to not build up some resentment and anger. He's definitely a hero, but he could do with chilling out a bit, no matter how justified his anger seems.
Spare my sister and punish me instead!
You may not understand this next entry, but up next is Timmy Turner. He's your average kid who is constantly disrespected by his family and left to the devices of his evil babysitter, Vicky.
I can't watch my shows!
He's just a kid that no one understands. His life is so terrible that it was decided that he should receive fairy godparents that grant his every wish, as decided by the rules. Timmy is bratty and selfish. He doesn't think through his actions, and his plans often backfire in his face. He can also be prone to being greedy and tries to get as much use out of his godparents as possible. That being said, it's kind of hard to blame Timmy too much, as life has constantly dealt him failing hand after failing hand. It makes sense that with how much he's mocked by the world around him, he would logically try to fight back.
Look on somebody your own size.
Plus, he still has done his own share of heroic deeds. He was willing to let the darkness consume him if it meant his friends and even enemies wouldn't be safe.
You turned the darkness into the kindness!
He also wished up a baby, which would be later named Poof, for Cosmo and Wanda, after seeing just how much they wanted one, and he would also end up becoming a big brother for him, doing his best to protect Poof during any dangerous situations. He may inadvertently start issues for him, but he's still willing to clean them up. Let's turn this into a Jimmy Timmy Power Hour with Jimmy Neutron up next. As the smartest kid in Retroville, this child genius is more than happy trying to create his own crazy inventions just because he can. That said, these inventions often backfire, and he will have to try and think his way into creating a new invention to save the day.
Is this supposed to happen?
Truthfully, he and Timmy are rather similar. They both are kids with extraordinary abilities, with Timmy, his godparents, and Jimmy, his brain power. These abilities can cause trouble with them due to not thinking things through, and they have to clean up said mess as well. From rampaging pants to accidentally shrinking the town, Jimmy definitely causes his own share of problems. Jimmy's actually even more cocky than Timmy. With how high his intelligence is, this makes him believe he's superior to others.
It's technically not a rocket. It's more of a jetpack type thing.
So why is he higher than Timmy? Well, while Jimmy is more arrogant, he's also much more willing to take charge and help stop conflicts that threaten his world. From a meteor crashing into the city, to stopping the Yokians from feeding the town's parents, to their chicken overlord, Poltra, Jimmy is more than crafty enough to step up to bat to save the day.
Time to show them what we're made of. We're tough. We're mean.
He may be an arrogant genius, but at least he truly earned his title as a genius. Hey, Arnold! You're up next. Arnold is the football-headed kid living in a boarding house in Hillwood who just wants to help everyone be friends and get along. Attending school with his friends, he has gained a reputation for being a morally upstanding kid who's willing to assist anyone in need, even some people who may bully him.
You saved my life. How can I ever thank you?
He does his best to never resort to violence. His friendliness is so well spread that in order to help Arnold win a trip to the jungle, where he thinks his parents are at, his friends put together a tape that details all his great deeds. Such kind-hearted feats include helping Harold lose weight, being a friend to Pigeon Man when he viewed the rest of the world with caution, and aiding Stoop Kid to get off his own stoop, and even going onto government building stoops. His greatest deed would have to be fighting tooth and nail to protect his own neighborhood from getting reformed and turned into a mall. While he also helped out the green-eyed people with curing the sleeping disease, he really couldn't have done that without Helga's help. That said, even he still has his limits. He has developed a bit of a playful teasing streak in the later episodes of the show, and his patience has limits. His patience snapped with him blowing up at Helga after she constantly abused him, and losing faith in Oscar from time to time. His biggest breaking point, however, has to be when Iggy forced Arnold into wearing embarrassing bunny pajamas out in public, deciding to just ignore Iggy and decline all attempts he had at apologizing to Arnold.
Come on, Arnold. What do I have to do to make it up to you?
It just goes to show you that in the end, even the most kind people have their limits. But all that said, Arnold is one of the morally righteous characters in Nicktoon history, especially for his age, even if his heroics are confined to his neighborhood. Who lives in a pineapple at our 13th place spot? SpongeBob SquarePants. As the face of the network, it's obvious as to why so many people love him. He's a sponge with a positive outlook on life. The best 3 words to describe SpongeBob are innocent yet naive. As kind-hearted as he is, he doesn't really understand personal boundaries or the fact that Squidward doesn't want to hang out with him all too well, leading to Squidward constantly getting frustrated with him in some way.
It's about
Imagination.
That said, this is SpongeBob at his worst. Even here, he doesn't realize he's doing any harm. He just wants to befriend everyone. Even his enemy, Plankton, has received some friendship from SpongeBob, even after everything, ranging from giving him a Valentine's Day card, helping him with his love life whenever Karen throws him out, and even standing up for Plankton in the second movie, after everyone thinks he stole the formula when SpongeBob knows the truth. This isn't even going into what he does for his other friends, like giving Patrick a giant balloon filled with chocolate, his extreme loyalty towards his boss, Mr. Krabs, even if Mr. Krabs calls himself a tyrant, and hosting a welcome back party for Sandy.
Surprise! Patrick and I chipped in and got you a little something.
His most heroic feat, however, has to be him going to Shell City, facing certain doom just to retrieve King Neptune's crown to save Mr. Krabs, saving Bikini Bottom from Plankton in the process. SpongeBob is a loyal, hard-working employee, but his friendship and kindness are truly his biggest strengths. Moving on to the surface once again, next up is El Tigre, or as his real name is, Manny Rivera, the son of the legendary superhero White Pantera and the grandson of the equally well-known villain, Puma Loco. It's easy to see that he can get mixed ideas on what his path in life would be. His father wants him to be a superhero, and his grandfather would love for him to follow his footsteps in villainy.
Wouldn't you rather lose with honor than win with dishonor?
For the most part, Manny does want to make his father proud and be a good hero. Even if he's still learning, he still holds him in high regard and doesn't like the thought of disappointing him. If he did something wrong, you can expect him to make an honest attempt in fixing his mistake, and without any selfish goals of his own, he's willing to be heroic without any prompting.
I thought I was doing good.
However, he can still easily be tempted to be a villain, either by his own greed or by the pushing of his grandfather. These villainous results stem from a desire to just take a shortcut. That being said, sometimes he unknowingly does the wrong thing while truly thinking it's the right thing to do, like dating Zoe, the Black Cuervo, to get information on crimes their family is committing to alert his father.
Dad! My source says Vultura is robbing the science tower!
In the end of the last episode, however, he decided that he was indeed a hero, albeit a hero on his own terms. He still has some growing up to do, but he definitely has a bright future ahead of him. Up next, we have the secret agent dog, Dudley Puppy. He's the newest recruit in Tough, the Turbo Undercover Fighting Force. With his partner, Kitty Catswell, he protects the town of Petropolis from the Legion of Doom, the diabolical order of mayhem.
We get it!
Actually, I don't get it. Can you explain it to me?
Now, it should be stated that Dudley really isn't the smartest person, or animal, in Tough. His lack of intelligence has led to many of the cast members getting injured by him, regardless of their morality. The person most often on the receiving end of these injuries is his own partner, Kitty Catswell. That said, it shouldn't be undersold just how much Dudley can do. Despite his lack of brains, his heart and desire to do good certainly does make up for it.
I can't sleep.
Will you tell me a story?
He's more than happy to try and stop Doom from whatever evil plans they may have for the day, and when he realizes he messed up, he's willing to owe up to it and do whatever it takes to mend it. He also has a great loyalty towards his friends, and if he realizes one of them got hurt by the villain, he's more than willing to go all out on them to make them surrender. He even has a couple of moments of being able to properly outthink his opponents, and is capable of beating his foes with his brain just as much as he can with his muscles.
Wait! I have an idea!
He may cause some damage while trying to save the day, but he's still a very reliable dog and a very good boy at the end of the day. At the end of this section, we have a rather surprising choice, but one we think deserves it: Eliza Thornberry. As a daughter of the Thornberrys, a family that travels the world filming wild animals, she has one thing that makes her stand out from the rest of her family: the fact she can talk to animals, but only if she keeps it a secret. Getting her gift from a shaman, she uses her power of talking with animals while out in the wild with her family to help out the wildlife.
I gotta get you out of there.
When Eliza helps her animal friends deal with threats, they could be just related within their own natural area, or due to being hunted down by poachers Kip O'Donnell and Neil Biederman. She certainly has a drive to help out nature and the animals, gaining these traits from her father. With just how often they travel, Eliza is along for the ride with her family and her best friend Darwin the chimpanzee, the very first animal she talked to, for the chance to meet and help out animals. Even when she lost her ability to speak to animals in the movie to save her sister, she still did her best and managed to help a horde of elephants evade being trapped. Now granted, she does end up causing trouble by accident in her eagerness to help. She often gets into situations where she wouldn't need help if she just listened to her cautious friend, namely when traveling into unknown lands.
That's a new one.
Everything's fine.
She also once ended up almost destroying the ecosystem after just trying to help some finches get larvae easier by using sewing needles. However, this is much more forgivable than other mistakes we see here. Eliza does indeed have the best intentions for others. It's just that with how she usually just follows her instinct that leads her to trouble. Regardless, she definitely has done her fair share of good deeds and has more than earned her spot here. Rounding things out, we have the World Savers. These heroes constantly save their world or willingly battle deadly threats on a daily basis. First up is the first of our two avatars, Cora. In comparison to her predecessor, Cora is much more arrogant and brash than Aang was. She's cocky and proud of her status as the Avatar and believes she can do no wrong.
Got an idea about who I am now, chump?
However, this is just part of the story, as throughout the story, Cora is constantly knocked down and forced to grow as a character. Yeah, Cora is impulsive and confident to a fault at the start, but that is part of her story arc. She realizes that she isn't as flawless as she would like to be and has to mature. She also ends up having to become more kind and patient in order to improve herself while on her quest to bring balance to the world.
You're gonna call off your army and surrender to President Rocko.
She isn't perfect, but the story is aware of that, and her improvement is a part of it. She certainly became the hero she thought she was in the end. Out of all the kids on the list, we gotta say that Rudi to Booty is probably the best in the class. What puts him this higher up than the rest? Well, it's obvious, really. He more or less is a god, at least in the world of Chalk Zone. He's a god that takes care of his creations and the world of Chalk Zone, using a magic piece of chalk to help out the citizens with their problems.
Lucky, my first drawing!
Be it stopping their world from getting exposed, to taking down Skrull and his plans to take over Chalk Zone and do whatever he wants to it, ranging from flooding the place to hypnotizing everyone.
I won't let you get away with it!
As a kid, he still is prone to having childish desires and fantasies, like wanting expensive gifts and going out to bands. That being said, these moments are few and more sprinkled out than other kids we have seen here. Most of the time, he's creating more residents to live within Chalk Zone with every erased drawing on a chalkboard. He also greatly values his friendship with Penny and his creation, Snap. He also isn't above trying to help villains that harmed him and his friends earlier, such as fixing up Skrull's appearance and giving him his own home, or by giving the Cyclops another eye and making him into the Biclops. Of course, he also does his best to ensure that not only is the world of Chalk Zone safe and sound, but also kept a secret from the real world. He may be a kid, but for someone who isn't even 10 years old yet, he's probably the best kid on the list. At our top 3 most heroic main characters of Nickelodeon, we have Danny Fenton. The son of ghost hunters Jack and Maddie Fenton, he was inside a ghost portal when it got turned in, splicing his human DNA with ghost DNA, becoming a hybrid. With his new powers, he ends up having to learn more and more about his powers and growing as a person.
I command you to go away!
When he first gets his powers, he's still a kid in school trying to just find a path for his life. He's also trying to get friends, a lover, and he isn't the smartest in the class, so to speak. By the end, however, he becomes much more grounded and mature and is happy being a hero. He still has weaknesses that pop up momentarily, thanks to his desire to just live a normal life, sometimes trying to separate his heroic ghost self with his normal human form.
I don't have my ghost powers anymore! I'm normal again!
Despite his heroic actions, the public still views him as a villain, no thanks to Vlad Masters, his enemy of the series, painting him as the enemy of the public. Regardless of this, Danny still views it as his duty to help and protect Amity Park from all the threats from the Ghost Zone. In the end, he's still a hero, and he's more than confident in his life. In second place, we have a heroine that was designed to be one, XJ9 or Jenny Wakeman. Created by Nora Wakeman, Jenny was constructed to be a teenager who would protect the Earth. She's armed to the teeth with various weapons, gadgets, and ways to transform her body to help save the day. However, she's still a teenager and just wants to have friends and be normal.
Never let me do anything but save the Earth.
While this normally doesn't cause problems, she can sometimes be a bit too trigger-happy and cause some unintentional property damage. Most of the time, however, she's more than content with being a robot and saving the world. She has saved Earth from constant destruction, be it from asteroids heading to Earth or putting criminals behind bars. Jenny has proven to be a very reliable robot. She was so heroic that even after Queen Vexus tried to use propaganda to paint Jenny in an evil light on her planet, her heroics have caused a decent number of the population to side with her, including Vexus's own daughter, and helped her overthrow the Queen.
I was meant to help others. That's why I was built.
She may technically have the mind of the teenager, but her list of good deeds is that of a true heroine. For our most heroic and kind main character we have on Nickelodeon is the original Avatar, Aang. After getting freed from the iceberg, he must restore balance to the world by mastering all 4 elements to end the century-long war by beating Fire Lord Ozai. Despite originally refusing the idea of being the Avatar in his past, before getting stuck in that iceberg thanks to all the pressure, he has become much more focused and dedicated to saving the world. Despite his destiny of having to beat and kill Ozai, he has no desire in causing any harm.
If I go with you, will you promise to leave everyone alone?
He was even scared of his avatar state due to just how easy it is for him to lose control. He may be a very capable fighter, but he's just as friendly. He makes a lot of friends on his path to becoming the master of all 4 elements, and even when fighting his foes, he would do whatever it takes to ensure that no one has to die. He even spared the life of Zuko, who was trying to hunt him down to return him to Ozai numerous times, and helped save him after seeing him get exhausted after fighting as the Blue Spirit. Even when he gets the chance to kill Ozai, Aang passes it up, instead opting to just remove his bending and make him powerless.
You can't use it to hurt or threaten anyone else ever again.
Sure, he does have trouble when it comes to understanding love, but in terms of being a 12-year-old stuck in an iceberg for 100 years, he could be a lot worse. Overall, out of Nick's lineup of heroes, we have no trouble giving Aang first place and being the most kind and heroic main character. What do you think? Who do you say is the most heroic Nicktoon character? And hey, if you want to know who the most vile Nicktoon villain is, check out the video we did on that subject. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters from your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.